I'll share this moment that I had that was really fascinating, where I had a corporate gig the day after the house burned down. Like the morning that we learned that the house burned, I was sitting on a flight to go to Salt Lake City to do a corporate gig. And so it was insane, just silent flight, sitting next to my wife, no music, nothing. I was like, I don't want to put headphones on. I was like, there's nothing that I would want to consume at this moment. I just like sat there and pondered what had happened, you know? And then every once in a while we'd look at each other and be like, what the fuck? You know, it's like, there's nothing to be said really. So we did the gig, and then I'm flying back from Salt Lake City, and we're flying over LA. And this was, you know, there's like 3 or 4 fires concurrently raging at that time, you know, not very contained. It's still the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, a couple others, smaller ones that never got as big, but still. And so you're just flying over this apocalyptic, like both sides of the plane, you look out, it's like orange glow and smoke, like up in the sky. But I had this like kind of profound moment sort of as I was processing, you know, the grief of it, I guess, where I just looked at the smoke coming from like the mountains, you know, the San Gabriel Mountains or whatever, which were over Altadena, still are. And I was like, wow, like the fuel for fire is like wood and stuff, you know? And I was like, okay, so like, and the byproduct of fire is smoke, obviously. And so it was like, wow, all of my belongings and my home are in the smoke, you know? Yeah. And it was kind of weirdly beautiful because I was looking at the smoke and I was tripping out, imagining that, oh, like the couch that I sat on, that chair that I love sitting in and doing my morning pages and doing my meditation. I love that chair. All my records, my books, I wrote in all the margins of so many books. And I was always like, I can't wait to go back through and extract all my notes. You know, I never got to do that. And so my notes, you know, my thoughts are in the smoke. And my instruments, my drum sets, you know, the drums that I played hundreds of gigs on, you know, those gigs are in the smoke, you know? Yeah. And it was just kind of this crazy realization of like, all of that stuff is smoke now. And then in this weird kind of, and I hope this doesn't sound too like woo woo or hippy dippy or anything like that, but in this weird way, it was like, it was always the smoke, you know, like in a sense, like it never wasn't the smoke. Like that's just a new sort of expression of what the stuff was previously, you know, and before the drums were drums, they were a tree, you know, and before the tree was a tree, it was like a seed in the soil, you know? And so, yeah, it was just kind of this thing where it was like, oh, all this stuff, like I thought it was mine, but it was never mine, kind of, you know, like we're kind of like renting these things from the universe. Like we're borrowing these materials from the earth and recapitulating them and calling them a thing and acting like they're ours and they're ours forever. But they're not ours forever, you know, and they never were. And I'm not mine. My body is not mine forever, you know. Eventually my body will like decompose into the earth, and whatever happens then will happen. I have no idea, right? None of us actually know. But it was kind of like healing in a way, flying over and seeing the smoke and just being like, yeah, well, you know what? Like, yeah, like it's all, none of it's permanent, you know, nothing is permanent. Life is not permanent. It's a constant ebb and flow. Everything is constantly changing, and it can be hard to grapple with that in the human mind, but I think it's so important sometimes to face it. And so this was just my moment to like really face it.